Welcome back, everyone. So today we're going to get into the First Balkan War, which will lead directly to the Second Balkan War, which eventually will get us to World War I. So we're doing some stepping stones today, getting into these wars that will set up some of the conditions that will allow for World War I to happen. And then again, these are going to be some short videos, not super in-depth, just to give you a sense of what occurred. Now, when we talk about the Balkans, this is the Balkan Peninsula here, and these are the modern-day countries that make up the Balkan Peninsula. These were not the countries in 1912 when this war started, which I will be showing you a map of that in just a moment, but I just wanted to get you an idea here. And really what's important about the Balkan Peninsula is getting access either to the Black Sea or the Aegean or Adriatic Sea, which eventually gets you out to the Mediterranean, which is, of course, super important for trade. So as long as you have a spot, again, on the Adriatic Sea, the Ionian Sea, the Aegean Sea, or the Black Sea, you're kind of okay. If you don't, that could cause some problems for you, like Serbia, Kosovo are kind of landlocked there. And we'll get into some of that because that's going to play a big role in how these wars unfold. This, however, is how Europe looked in 1912, okay? And the main areas that we're going to be talking about, again, on the Balkan Peninsula that will be involved in this war will be the Ottomans kind of on one side, and then the Bulgarians, the Serbians, the Montenegrins, Montenegro right here, and the Greeks. Will be involved on the other side of the war. But this is just so, again, visually you can understand of how things were set up at that time. So what really will lead up into this war is, number one, a growing sense of nationalism. Various ethnic groups within the Ottoman Empire were inspired by national movements in Europe, like Italy and Germany, to unite and try to break free or to either push out the Ottomans from the area. Within the Ottoman Empire, however, there were some changes occurring. A group known as the Young Turks started to push and seize control of the Ottoman government in 1908, as you see the little flyer over there, and develop a new constitution. And they start pushing the idea of expanding the Ottoman Empire again. And so a lot of the groups that were already there, like Bulgaria, Serbia, were a little bit nervous that the Ottomans might want to try to come back and regain that area that had once been part of the Ottoman Empire. Also, we're going to add in Russia, who was really looking to kind of expand its scope and power in the area and create like a Russo-Balkan alliance, really for two purposes. One, to try to curtail the power of the Ottoman Empire, but two, if I pop back the map a little bit here, if I look up here, you have Austria-Hungary. Okay, Austria-Hungary already controls, like this is where Slovenia is in Bosnia, and Austria-Hungary definitely also looking to kind of get more control in this area as well. And so the Russians didn't like that. And that is definitely going to cause some issues moving forward. So the Russians are trying to get involved in this area. The Austro-Hungarians kind of are involved in this area. The Turks perhaps looking to expand upon in the area. And these other ethnic groups that are either there or would like their own area are also kind of riled up by everything that's going on. And you really have an easy potential for war. And so Russia really does start to get itself intervened in this area. And most notably, they're really going to push groups like the Serbs and the Bulgarians to look to unite to push out the Ottomans. And that's exactly what's going to happen, actually. In March of 1912, the Serbs and Bulgarians are going to form an alliance. And later, they'll also make agreements with the Greeks and Montenegrins to form an alliance as well. And all of this, and I'm going to talk about that again in a second, and all of this is being pushed by the Russian Empire and Tsar Nicholas II, you see there on the right. And so again, in March of 1912, the Serbs and the Bulgarians will make an alliance. They then pull in the Greeks. They then pull in the Montenegrins, and you see a picture over there. You have the Balkan League. And religion kind of plays a part in this as well. We're looking at Orthodox Christianity here, which of course the Russians are a big proponent of Orthodox Christianity. So you also have like a religious undertone that has these groups allying together. And so in March of 1912, the Balkan League is created, and we're pretty much getting ready for war. which will happen. Excuse me. And so on October 8th, 1912, the Montenegrins kind of open it up and start fighting the Ottomans. The Ottomans then, instead of just declaring war on the Montenegrins, declare war on the entire Balkan League, and here we go. Much of the fighting is going to be in this area up here of Thrace. Okay, so and this is an ancient area and ancient peoples, the Thracians, but basically you're looking at the area of European Turkey and then parts of Bulgaria and Greece, modern-day countries. There will be some fighting over here, definitely some fighting in what will be Macedonia as well. But this is the zone where we'll have a lot of fighting, because this is really going to be, not that the other groups don't fight quite a bit, but the Bulgarians are going to kind of be the guys in the front here. Now, this is just a visual of the general fighting that occurred in the war. You can see the advances and see so much going on over here. And that, of course, is this modern-day Thrace that we were talking about. And we'll also see some fighting over in this area that makes up modern-day Macedonia. That's right here, like Skopje. And the Greeks also get involved coming up. Okay, and that's kind of the advantage that you see. You have the Bulgarians and the Serbs are up here in the north. You have the Montenegrins who are out here in the west, and then the Greeks can come from the south. And they're really going to just focus on the Ottoman part of Europe. They're not going to mess into Turkey. That's not what they're trying to do. It's really this area within Europe itself. And the Bulgarians are really going to get a big push early on. They initially will siege the Ottomans at Adrianople, which is undoubtedly the biggest and most major cities, and has seen tons of fighting in this area going all the way back to the Romans. They then get a big win at the Battle of Kirk-Kalisi, I think. I'm trying. But the biggest battle that they fought was at Lule, Burgas. This will be the largest battle in Europe between the Franco-Prussian War and World War I. So this is really, really big. The Bulgarians will have a huge victory here. And what makes it really big is the fact that they get a huge victory when they were massively outnumbered. There were 240,000 men involved in this battle. So this thing is absolutely massive. On the top right, you see a line of soldiers there. And on the bottom, you actually see the Ottomans retreating. Massive amounts of casualties. The Bulgarians will lose 2,500 men. However, the Ottomans lose 22,000 men and plus another 2,800 men captured. So this is a huge battle, and initially it's going to force the Ottomans all the way. Their lines are going to go all the way back until finally they're able to hold at Chataldzha, where the Ottomans are able to kind of make a line that the Bulgarians can't get through. However, that's only about 30 miles outside of Istanbul, so that's a pretty big deal there. Although the Bulgarians, because once again, disease, will get hit with an outbreak of a variety of diseases that will really slow their advance. And so in Thrace, Bulgarians are really, really taking it to the Ottomans, and then we have a little bit of a stalemate. On the other front of the war, a variety of fighting occurs. The Serbs get a big victory against the Western Ottoman Empire at Kumanovo, and then they're going to start to push across so they're going to start over here and start to push this direction. The Greeks are able to have decisive victories against the Ottomans in the water, which will be huge because it doesn't allow the Ottomans to either resupply or evacuate their Western army. So that's going to put them in a distinct disadvantage there. The Greeks and Montenegrins will push into the areas of Salonika and Janina. And Janina is really, really important. We'll be talking about that again in the next phase. And then the Montenegrins are going to take the Sanjak of Nova Pazar region, which is going to be over here. Which is in Albania, and that's going to be important in a moment because the Albanians are going to look to make some changes here. And really, I mean, the Balkan League is just winning all over the place. So finally, in December of 1912, the Ottomans will sign an armistice with Bulgaria, Montenegro, and Serbia in December. So it seems to be pretty good. The Greeks, however, are still going to be fighting because they're looking to expand some of their land, so that's not quite done yet. And then all of a sudden, Albania declares independence. So it's like, what is going on here? So now you have an independence movement going along with the war. And from the outside, I have here the great powers. Great Britain, France, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Russia are very much watching the proceedings of this war because they're a little nervous that it might spill out and start to include other groups, which they weren't necessarily prepared for. And so they're going to be floating to try to either kind of declare when peace should be made or to curtail aggressiveness, say, into the Ottoman Empire. They're still kind of trying to keep that balance that goes all the way back to the Council of Vienna after the Napoleonic Wars. So you have a lot of things going on here and a lot of egos that are trying to be prevented from letting this spill into something much, much larger. But that armistice won't last long. On January 23rd, 1913, the Young Turks have another coup and are able to completely take control on January 23rd, 1913, and fighting starts again. It doesn't last that long because the Greeks then immediately finish off conquering Janina, and then the Bulgarians take over Adrianople. Montenegro were still holding a siege against them in Albania, although the great powers get them to back off in Albania, and basically this war is going to be done. Picture on the right there is the coup when the Young Turks take over in Constantinople/Istanbul. So this war is finally brought to an end with the Treaty of London on May 30th, 1913. So the Ottomans are going to basically lose a lot of territory. So everything you see here, they went all the way across. That's all gone. And they are pushed past the Inez Kuyukoy line, which is basically right here. So you can see they have almost nothing left in Turkey at that point, in Europe at that point. Albania is declared an independent state, and Greece and Turkey are really upset. They're upset because they had occupied a good chunk of Albania, and they don't get to keep any of it. And there was fighting over this area right about through here, which is where Macedonia actually sits. And both Serbia, Bulgaria, as well as Greece all felt that they should have more of that area, which is going to lead to some problems in a moment. So the big powers come in, they put this war in. It's like, okay, Bulgaria, you're here, Greece, you're here, Serbia, you're here, Albania gets to be a country, and the Ottomans, you only have this little bit left. And not a lot of the nations who were actually fighting the war were super happy. Excuse me. And again, that is clearly over the area of Macedonia. And once again, Serbia, Bulgaria, and Greece really felt that they each should have controlled much more of what was Macedonia than they got, as well as there were the groups of people that were living there called the Macedonians that were less than thrilled that they don't get to get a country because Albania gets a country, then they don't get a country. So Macedonia has people really, really upset. So what ends up happening is that the Greeks and the Serbs sign a secret agreement, which you actually see there on the right, before the treaty is even ratified, to if Bulgaria tries to expand into the area of Macedonia more so than they got, that they will go to war with them. And it's just crazy. It's like, once again, you get some meddling because a lot of this map was determined by those great powers. So again, like Germany, Britain, France, Russia, Austria-Hungary are all involved in this behind the scenes. They all kind of have what they want to have happen versus what happens. Then they're also trying to kind of bully around the Greeks, the Serbs, and the Bulgarians, and they don't like that. And it really isn't a very effective peace, and it's going to last like a month, and we're going to get another war. Okay, so that sums it up for the First Balkan War. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Again, I was just trying to give you some basic ideas, and we're going to get into the Second Balkan War soon. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys soon.